So in this video I want to talk about advantages and disadvantages that might occur, which I do not know of, but I want to talk about using sound cards opposed to using onboard sound, specifically within software such as FL Studio. What are the benefits to it? Is there a difference? Can I hear the difference? Etc., etc. Well, first off, using onboard sound, and I have really old, my old onboard sound was pretty bad. It did not support 5.1 surround sound. There was no digital I/O, or it did not support any digital at all. It was all analog, and only supported up to 2.1 channels. So what I'm using right now is a Creative Audigy, Soundblaster, whatever, Audigy SE, right? So, what are the benefits to using it opposed to standard onboard audio? Well, first off, I want to talk about ASIO for all. Basically, a lot of people that use onboard sound, such as my friends, they might use laptops, and they're pretty modern laptops too, but due to specific support within onboard sound, they might not get access to ASIO for all. And ASIO for all is a great input-output driver device, to use within FL Studio, because it's greatly efficient and it's just really good. But that's an option that you can get, and that's a good benefit when you're using a sound card such as this. Another thing I want to talk about is, everyone talking about 24-bit and 24-bit sound and high definition sound and stuff like that. Well, I go into device control, and you can see that I have 96 kilohertz sampling rate, which isn't that high, and 24-bit depth. Now, you might ask yourself, well, why would I need that when all my music is basically 16-bit, dithered songs, and they're being played like with pretty low bit rates, ranging from 120 kilobytes per second MP3 to 320. 320 is pretty good, but you're not listening to real HD audio, and there's no point using an HD card when the source is not HD, if you know what I mean. When you listen to a song on YouTube, it plays it back at, I believe, 22 kilohertz, 96 kilobyte per second MP3 with a mono channel, and that's just horrible compared to, that's just even worse than onboard sound. So why would you use a sound card that supports such high HD features? Well, if you go into export file, and if I go to like WAV file, and I'll just call this anything, kk.wave, you can see that I have options here: 16-bit, int, 32-bit float. When I listen to something to 32-bit float, and for example, if I listen to 32-bit float, that's way different compared to 16-bit. It's much thicker, it's more broad, the depth is much greater for the WAV file format, and you're listening to something that sounds, the best of the best compared to 16-bit. And when you're listening to 32-bit float, big difference. Now, you might not notice the difference, but it's there. Another thing I wanted to talk about is static and amplification. Another great thing about using my card, so in case you don't know which card I'm using, which I've already mentioned, the Soundblaster Audigy SE, the great thing about it is you can amplify your speakers crap load without any static. You basically get a really clean sound, and that's because of a lot of the good quality components that they use. They're not the best quality components, I'll tell you that. They're not the best for a professional or an enthusiast, but for the average user and semi-enthusiast, they're really great, and you'll definitely notice it. I know I did. Another thing I want to talk about is amplification, and the amplification is also improved when you're using the sound card. You can get a greater range of volume, a greater range of frequencies, lower the lows and the highs. You get frequencies, you get the amplification, you get the less static, you get the support for different drivers, you get also MIDI support, and that's great if you're using FL Studio and you know, you need these extra features within audio and recording. Also, within the disc, I also got some of the software, I guess. You know, the media source player, which is kind of useless, kind of sucks. The organizer sucks. The audio converter is pretty useful, but you don't get a lot of the formats. And we also have, you know, we have a lot of customization and, you know, diagnostics. We have graphic equalizer, that's great. We have speaker settings, you know, the device control, you can switch the options, the bit depth. And a thing I really like to play around with is the AX console. And basically you can use your hardware to give you different, like, weird effects that you can apply either just right here, or leave them on or leave them off, or play them in-game and stuff like that. And you can get different effects when you enable them. Different reverbs, or, you know, you can play around with karaoke or stuff like that, just, you know, just to play around with. But I'd say that overall, if you're looking for something cheap and something good to use, giving you clean sound, good support, I would recommend the Soundblaster Audigy SE. A lot of people say that it doesn't give true support, so, you know, it's something it's basically a trade-off. Like, if you are a really huge enthusiast, I wouldn't go for the Soundblaster Audigy SE. Other than that, if you're an average user, you know, you want some good sound, you got some, like, you know, 7.1 speakers, 5.1, 4.1, 6.1, whatever it is, and they're analog. Definitely Soundblaster Audigy SE is a fine choice, a cheap choice. So, you know, I'm getting a pretty good bargain. But the one thing I would say is the driver support is somewhat glitchy, and I've played around with it a lot, installing drivers, and that might be an issue for you. But overall, I believe, you know, I would give this card, you know, an 8 out of 10. Performs good. It gives good, clear sound. There's no static. There is high quality audio output and input. And overall, it is a good card to use if you're wishing to use it with software such as Reason, FL Studio, and such. So I hope this video helps you out with choosing a sound card and perhaps choosing the Soundblaster Audigy SE. Thanks a lot for watching this video.